of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. All right, this morning we're celebrating the appearance day of Lord Varahadev, and this is a prayer offered to Lord Varaha by the residents of Jambudweep, one of the planets there, headed by Mother Earth. Okay. Thank you. It's not very stable either. Make it a little shorter. Yeah. All right, so most of these verses are in prose, but this one has a little meter, so we can try to chant it. Only the last line is a little out of sync. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. Pramatya daityam parivaranam ridhe. Yomam rasaya jagat adi sukara. Pridvagradang stre niragadudan vata. Kridan eva pranasta. Kridam eva pranatasmai tam vibhumiti. See the extra syllables? Okay. Pramatya daityam pravivaranam ride. Yomam rasaya jagad adi sukara. Pridvagradang stre niragadudan vata. Kridan ivepa pranatas maitam vibhum iti. Vidam vibhum. Okay, please chant.
Pramatya daityam prativaranam ride.
Pramatya daityam prativaranam ride.
Yomam rasaya jagadadi shukraha.
Yomam rasaya jagadadi sukara. Kridvagradam stre niragadidam vata. Ideva pranatas maitam vibhumiti. Pramatya daityam prativaranam ridhe.
Yomam rahasya jagad adi sukaraha.
Yogam adraya jagadadi sukara. Kridvagradam stre niragadadam jada. Kridan ideva pranatasmitam vibhumiti. Pramatya daityam parivaranam ride. Yomam rasaya jagadadi sukara. Kridvagradam stre niragadadam jada. Kridan ideva pranatasmitam vibhumiti. Pramatya daityam prativaranam ride. Yomam rasaya jagadadi sukara. Kridvagradam stre niragadadam vata. Kridan ideva pranatasmitam vibhumiti. Anyone else?
We can start from behind. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Pramatyadathyam pravartinam vidhe
Pramatya-daityam pranikaranam vide.
Yomam rasaya jagadadi sukaraha.
Yomam rasaya jagatadi sukara. Nirgadudam ste nirgadudam vatam.
Kridan Veva Pranatasmitam Vibhumiti.
Nitidam niveva pranatasmitam vibhumiti. Pramatya-daityam panivaranam ride. Yomam rasaya jagadadi sukara.
Vagradam Ste Niragatu Danvata.
Kridargadam ste nirgadudam vatam.
Kridan Veva Pranatasmitam Vibhumiti.
Kriyam seva vibhum. Hey, let's read the synonyms together, please. Pramatya, after killing. Daitya, the demon. Prativaranam, most formidable opponent. Ridhe, in the fight. Ya, he who. Mam, me, the earth. Asaya, fallen to the bottom of the universe. Jagat, in this material world. Adi Sukaraha, the original form of a boar. Kudva, keeping it. Agradam Ste, on the end of the tusk. Niragat, came out of the water. Kridan Vata, from the Garbhodak ocean. Kridan, playing. Iva, like. Iva, elephant. Pranat Tasmi, I bow down. Tam, to him. Vibhum, the Supreme Lord. Iti, thus. And translation together. My Lord, as the original boar within this universe, you fought and killed the great demon Hiranyaksha. Then you lifted me, the earth, from the Garbhodak ocean on the end of your tusk, exactly as a sporting elephant plucks a lotus flower from the water. I bow down before you. Okay, there's no purport here, but we're going to go back now one verse. Actually, let me just talk for a moment about this, and then we'll go back and read one of the beautiful prayers recited before this concluding prayer in the chapter. So this is the earth appreciating how Varaha saved her. As we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection, so we also pray to Lord Varahadev for protection. There are certain mantras in this section that are specifically for that. Let's see. Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Mantra Tattva Lingaya Yagya Kritatve Maha Dvara Vaya Vaya Mahapurushaya Namaha Karma Shuklaya Triyugaya Namaste. This says that simply by chanting mantras, we will be able to understand you. You are sacrifice. You are a ritual. All the ritual ceremonies of sacrifice are part of your body, and you are the only enjoyer of sacrifices. Your form is composed of transcendental goodness. You are known as Tri Yuga because in Kali Yuga you appear as a concealed incarnation, and because you always possess the three pairs of opulences. So the boar this is the Adi Sukara. This is the original appearance of a boar in the universe. The boar is known for what? Where do they like to live?
Swampy.
Dirty places. Dirty places. George Bernard Shaw said, never wrestle with a pig because the pig likes it and you get dirty. So he said this in regards to getting in arguments with very critical people. Better not to argue. Better to just say, yes, my dear sir, whatever you say, and go on. I think Vaisheshika Prabhu has a nice way of dealing with this on book distribution. Do you meet Christians sometimes when you go distributing books? You're laughing. So when people respond, oh, I'm a Christian, he says, oh, that's great. We need God-conscious people out here. Thank you very much. And then he goes on. Not to compare Christians to pigs, but that is the point. Don't get an argument. Don't go to level of critics. The boar, however, is also known for taking things from dirty places. And this is why the Lord appears as the boar. In this case, one of the progenitors, Kashyapa Muni, had the wife Aditi, yes, and she was impatient to conceive a child. So although the time was inauspicious, she insisted, and Kashyapa consented, and then the two demons were born, the first demons in the universe. Rita Ananda Maharaj is writing this beautiful version of the Mahabharata, which really consolidates the plot taken from all these various literatures, that the Daityas were planning an invasion. They were thinking how to take over the universe. We need a base. We need a convenient base. And so they selected Earth as the base and started taking birth there. It was a conspiracy. It wasn't just something random. So that's a fascinating read. It'll be coming out soon. But these two first demons, the Adi Daityas, the original demons in the universe, were first Hiranyaksha was born, and then Hiranyakashipu. So who was the elder? No, Hiranyakashipu was actually the elder. The idea is that the first child conceived comes out last. So he was considered the elder brother, and his younger brother, Hiranyaksha, was out immediately creating chaos in the universe. So his purpose was to exploit the planets. And this is the topic we'll read about in a moment. That tendency we all have to exploit the material energy. But Hiranyaksha was really going wild, and he was extracting the minerals from the planets to such an extent, from the earth to such an extent that it fell into the Garbhodak ocean. So it was a very appropriate form for the Lord to come and rescue the earth on his tusk, just as a boar might pick up something from a dirty place, or in this analogy, the elephant might pluck a lotus flower from the water. The elephant has a very flexible trunk and is able to use it almost like a hand. And so apparently Varaha also has this great flexibility and almost athletic ability to pick up the earth. So the poet Jayadev says that when he picked it up, it looked like a moon on the end of his tusk, a bright, shiny moon. So it was a beautiful sight, and everyone in the universe who was so alarmed by Hiranyaksha then became enlivened by the presence of Varahadev. So generally, we don't think of boars in a very flattering way. Back in the 70s, when I first went to Vrindavan, the municipal sanitation department consisted of boars. There was an open sewer, and the boars would be standing by, waiting for breakfast, and that was how the whole operation worked. It was that very, very quaint rural setting. Vrindavan now is quite different, but the boar is not a very respectable beast, and yet here is Krishna appearing even in that form. Prahlad Maharaj praises the Lord for appearing in all varieties of species. Why? So that he can attract the living entities in all these species to him. So all of every species that exists, Krishna appears for the sake of those living entities. How many species are there? Right, 8,400,000, that is what, 84 lakhs? Yeah. So we don't know all of these avatars, but they are there. And the Varaha incarnation is particularly known and counted amongst the primary incarnations. So why aren't we fasting today? It's a Vishnu Tattva appearance day. Why do we not fast?
We fasted yesterday.
We fasted yesterday, right? Because?
There was Ekadashi, and we fasted also half day for Radha.
Yeah, but my question is, why don't we just fast it yesterday and again today?
To attract his mercy?
We're always trying to do that. I'm just wondering if you knew this particular.
We have to break the fast today.
Yeah, that's right. Vaishnavas don't fast 2 days in a row. generally. The only exception is Janmashtami and Prabhupada's Vyas Puja. But anyway, that's the reason for this special day, Varaha Dwadasi, today. That we don't fast in the morning because we fasted yesterday. So anyway, this is the precursor to Lord Nityananda's appearance day. And Varaha plays a special role, just like Nrsimhadev, of protecting the devotees. That's why we pray to him, we honor him, we adore him. And his form is very, very beautiful and transcendental. So any other reflections on Lord Varahadev before we continue? Okay, let's go to verse number 38. One back, please. Yeah, we'll just read let's read the translation together. This is the earth praying to Lord Varahadev. O Lord, you do not desire the creation, maintenance, or annihilation of this material world, but you perform these activities for the conditioned souls by your creative energy. Exactly as a piece of iron moves under the influence of a lodestone, inert matter moves when you glance over the total material energy. What is a lodestone? It's a magnet, yeah. Okay, let's read around, shall we? Do we have a microphone to pass around? We have no extra microphone. Okay, go ahead and read, please, yes. Let's read a paragraph, men's side, ladies' side, one paragraph each. It's 4 or 5 paragraphs.
Sometimes the question arises why the Supreme Lord has created a material world, which is so full of suffering for the living entities entrapped in it. The answer given herein is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not wish to create this material world just to inflict suffering on the living entities. The Supreme Lord creates this world only because the conditioned souls want to enjoy it.
And Gatesh Prabhu, this was the question you asked last night, I think, right? Yeah. Okay.
The hurricanes of nature are not going on automatically. It is only because the Lord glances over the material energy that it acts in wonderful ways, just as a lodestone causes a piece of iron to move here and there. Because materialistic scientists and so-called Sankhya philosophers do not believe in God, they think that material nature is working without supervision, but that is not the fact. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 6.18 and 19, the creation of the material world is explained as follows.
We'll skip the Bengali. Okay.
Atheist Sankhya philosophers think that the total material energy causes the cosmic manifestation, but they are wrong. That matter has no moving power, and therefore it cannot act independently. The Lord infuses the material ingredients with his own creative potency. Then, by the power of the Lord, matter moves and interacts. Sea waves are moved by the air. The air is created from ether, and the ether is produced by the agitation of the 3 modes of material nature. And the 3 modes of material nature interact due to the Supreme Lord's glance over the total material energy. Therefore, the background of all natural occurrences is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita.
Maya Dashena Prakriti Suyate Sachara.
This is also further explained in Charitamrita Adi 5.59.61.
And we can skip the Bengali again.
Because Prakriti, material nature, is dull and inert, it cannot actually be the cause of the material world. Lord Krishna shows his mercy by infusing his energy into the dull and inert material nature. Thus, Prakriti, by the energy of Lord Krishna, becomes the secondary cause, just as iron becomes red hot by the energy of fire. Therefore, Lord Krishna is the original cause of the cosmic manifestation. Prakriti is like the nipples on the neck of a goat, for they cannot give any milk. Thus, it is a great mistake on the part of material scientists and philosophers to think that matter moves independently.
I was born in the state of New Mexico, which is a desert-like state in southwestern U.S. And in that desert-like environment, there's these weeds that grow about this big. And in the fall, they die and they break off and roll in the wind. So they're called tumbleweeds. Right? So in the desert, a tumbleweed is considered a big tree. Why? Because there's nothing else there. So in the same way, the understanding of the universe today is dictated by science. And pretty much the whole human society feels that science has got the best answers as to reality. See? So that it's like the tumbleweed. There's no one else. There's nothing. So they say, well, we can explain everything. And so people believe it. And when you get into topics about the origins of the universe, well, that's philosophy. What we're going to tell you, they say, is what is happening now. In the 70s, I think, 1970s, the scientists sent a telescope into space called the Hubble Space Telescope. And it was the first to go out of the Earth's atmosphere to be able to take a look at the stars without the interference of the atmosphere. So from the Hubble experiment, they got so much more information. And one of the main things they understood, right, is that the universe is expanding. That was a big revelation. The universe is expanding. And they subsequently were able to calculate that the universe will, in time, condense again. Now, extrapolating from that, they concluded that, see, atoms have three elements: neutrons, protons, and electrons, right? And there's huge spaces in between them, these tiny little particles, huge spaces in between them, proportionate to their size. So if all of that space were eliminated and just the little bits of matter were consolidated, all the matter in the universe would be the size of a grapefruit. This is how the universe originated from their perspective, that there was this consolidated lump of matter, a chunk, Prabhupada likes to say, and then it somehow exploded, and now it's all expanding. And from this explosion came all of these various elements in the periodic table, different combinations of the atoms. So all of this is presented as absolute truth. And pretty much people say, okay, that's the tumbleweed version. I'll take it. I don't have anything else. Now, where did the grapefruit come from? That's philosophy. That's the realm of religion or philosophy. We don't talk about that. It was just there. It was just there, and it exploded, and it made Toronto, and everything's great. You know? Some years ago, one of my godbrothers used to do a skit called the Big Bang Construction Company. You tell us what you want. Tell us how you want your house to be, how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, what kind of materials. We'll get all the building materials together. We'll put it on the site. We'll put some dynamite under there and blow it up. And if it doesn't come out just like you want, we'll put it back together and blow it up again. So this was the Big Bang Construction Company. So because science is based on the Aristotelian idea that whatever you can measure or perceive with your senses, it's reality. And if you cannot do that, then it's not real. Therefore, science can't see God. Science can't perceive God. They can't measure God. Therefore, God does not exist. And if God wants us to believe in him, then why doesn't he just show himself? Show himself, and then we'll change our mind. We'll change our opinion. It's so interesting how people could think about God in this way without considering their role in the relationship. If someone comes knocking on your door, come out, come out. Now, you might say, do you have a warrant? Do you have a reason why I have to come out? Or would you just come out because some obnoxious person is pounding on your door, right? So this idea of insisting that God reveal himself is just like that. Say, okay, come on out, and I may do you the big favor of believing in you. I'll decide after I see you. See? So there's no sense of relationship. Huh? There's no sense of what is my responsibility in this exchange. So in the Gita, Krishna says, Tadvedi pranipatena. If you want to understand me, then you approach through a spiritual master. You approach me through somebody who already knows me, who has the proper attitude in approaching me. Not somebody who's just claiming to know me, but somebody who's actually established that rapport. And thus, if they like you, then I will also accept you. Love me, love my dog. This is the way that Krishna wants to be approached. It makes sense because he is not obliged to reveal himself to us or to anybody. Is he? There's no reason why we deserve to have his darshan. It's just his causeless mercy that he makes himself available in this way. So the earth personified is appreciating how he is controlling everything behind the scenes. In praising Lord Varaha, she's saying, you don't create this world, this troublesome world, for your own purposes. You create it because the conditioned souls want it. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes the components of the material creation. Bhumir apanalo vayu kam mano buddhir evacha ahankara itiyame bina prakritir ashtada. So these are my 8 separated material energies. Now what does that mean, separated energy? It means the energy is there, but it is not the same as the energetic source. For example, we get milk from a cow, but we're holding a gallon of milk. That doesn't mean we have a cow in our hand. We're getting that separated energy of the cow. In the same way, the material energy is the separated energy of Krishna. He is not contained in it. He pervades it. It's his property, but it is not him. The idea of God being in nature is called pantheism. And many people appreciate pantheism because nature has so many beautiful aspects, awe-inspiring aspects that people think, wow, that's like God, man. You know, to see a sunset or to see an ocean or a mountain or something huge and gorgeous inspires that sense. However, Krishna is just saying, this is my lesser energy. This is my inferior energy. Aparayam itastwanyam prakritim vidime param. And he says, but aside from this inferior energy is my superior energy, who are the living souls who are struggling hard with material nature. So that is a true reality that science cannot grasp, because just as they cannot empirically see God, they cannot empirically see the soul. So science is not bad. Scientists are not bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to denigrate science or scientists. It's just that faith in our sensual perception is a foolish epistemology, a foolish approach to knowledge. It's so limited. It's so limited. If, for example, humans can perceive just a certain spectrum, a certain section of the sound spectrum, whereas a dog can perceive a much larger range. And similarly, we can see only certain under certain conditions. Animals like cats or cows have the ability to see at night. They can see in the darkness. So what is the reason for making these very foundational, fundamental questions? Who am I? Who is God? Dependent on our sensual perception. See, it makes no sense. And yet, that's pretty much what people believe. So therefore, prayers such as this, pastimes such as this are just, okay, it must just be mythology. I can't see it, I can't prove it, I can't taste it, therefore it doesn't exist. Until you show me, so I'm satisfied, it doesn't exist. This is sad because people then miss the inherent spiritual happiness that is the birthright of every living being. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Kabunoi Shravanade Sudhi Chite Karya Udoy. love of Krishna is eternally situated in everybody's heart. It doesn't have to be injected from an outside source. It is already there, dormant, in the heart of every person, every animal, every plant. Love of Krishna is just right there if it is awakened. And how is it awakened? Shravanade Sudechite. Meaning?
By listening and by chanting.
Yes, Shravanade Sudechite, Karya Udoy. This transcendental sound vibration opens a kind of perception that is beyond that of our sensual range. And that's why there are basically two kinds of people in the world. People who understand the value of transcendental vibration, who have experienced it, who have felt the benefit of it, and those who have no idea that chanting Hare Krishna is any different than chanting Coca-Cola. Yeah. To them, it's just some kind of mind-numbing, or at best, mind-focusing meditation. No idea that there's a person behind the creation of the chunk. No idea that there is a reason for the chunk in the first place. And what is that reason? Here, the earth is saying that it is just done for the benefit of the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls want to enjoy separately from Krishna, and so Krishna gives the facility. Just like little children might want to play house, so the parents might buy them a little pretend kitchen. It's not a real kitchen. It doesn't have fire, it doesn't have electricity, but it's just a little something they can go through. And kids are wonderful with their imagination. They can turn it into just what they want. So in the same way, Krishna gives us this material world, and then we turn it into what we want. We let ourselves go wild, whatever we want to do in this world, our big ambitions, our plans, our anxieties about survival. We're trying to enjoy the material nature, but just the opposite happens. Just the opposite happens, because just as a child, if the child wanted to cook a real meal, that would be impossible, right? On the play set. They couldn't really produce anything. They can pretend. Similarly, we cannot produce anything of substance in this material world. No matter how hard we try, whatever we have, it will be taken away from us. So, playtime is over. Okay, come in for recess, take another body. Now here you go, back out again. This is the plight of the conditioned soul. Our Srimad Bhagavatam is spiritual science. It is spiritual science. There is a methodology, there is a consistency, there is a reality. It's just beyond the realm of the senses to perceive, that's all. So we are talking as devotees about being more perceptive of the nuances of human life than the ordinary square Canadian. We're trying to do something that is more subtle, that is more nuanced, and therefore is inexplicable to the materialistic person. To the materialist, the devotee either looks crazy, or Prabhupada once said the devotee is death personified. When people see a devotee, they see death personified. Why do you think he said that?
Because we're telling them not to enjoy anything that they really like.
Oh, yeah. Hello, sir. Everything you've been doing in your entire life is wrong, but we can help you. The idea of spirituality is 100% positive. Spiritual life is 100% positive. And people who are just dabbling on the edges of it tend to think that it has to be achieved by fear. If you don't follow our religion, you're going to burn in hell. Have you ever heard this? Yes. Yeah, that was pretty much how many of us in the Judeo-Christian background were raised. How about in Hindu families? You were threatened? No. It was more like, worship God and you'll have a nice life, right? Right? So that's a little more sattvic. But the idea of intimidation, of threat, of force, and fear is behind what passes as spirituality in a materialistic society. If you don't comply, you will suffer. Therefore, comply and you'll be saved. You may suffer in the meantime, but at least when you die, you'll be able to have a better existence. This is why Marx, the communist atheist, said that religion is the opiate of the people, because the people could be oppressed by religious leaders who said, just trust us, support us, pray, and then in the future, you'll be better off. See, so this was, from his point of view, a way to exploit the population. So religion is the opiate of the people, just to numb their existence so they could be taken advantage of. So he rejected religion altogether. However, what comes if we don't have this taste of spiritual life is just the opposite. We have to numb ourselves just to avoid the pain. So you could say that opium becomes the religion of the people. In other words, intoxication is just pretty much widespread everywhere. It's understood. When I was flying in Toronto yesterday, the stewardess brought, one of the passengers was being nice to her, and then she brought over, here's a special gift for you. She gave them 2 little bottles of liquor. And they're so, oh, thank you so much. That's just like, this is 11 o'clock in the morning. What a horrible life, huh? When life is so bad that you just want to get a little pleasure from taking something which is very unhealthy for your body. Right? Like intoxication. Toxic is poison, right? So intoxicants kill a certain part of the body, which creates a certain sense of pleasure somehow. And as a result of this regular numbing of the senses, then the body deteriorates and it gets one nowhere. So we're out there saying, no, stop drinking, stop smoking, stop eating meat, practice celibacy for a while, try that out. And we're not saying, if you don't chant Hare Krishna, you'll go to hell. Chant or burn, What do we say as far as hell is concerned? Chant and be happy. Why? Because you're already in hell. Remember, Srila Prabhupada said that in London. This was a big, Srila Prabhupada had a few disciples who went ahead to London and managed to establish a temple and start kirtan parties, and it was getting a lot of attention. And then when Srila Prabhupada came, of course, India had been ruled by Britain for 250 years prior to this. So for this Indian Swami to come to London, there's this little cultural element there, and the interviewer said, so what do you think of London? No, I'm sorry, what he said is, so do you have a concept of hell in your religion? He said, yes, London is hell. And that made Swami says London is hell. and then very diplomatically said, but it is a great credit for you English people that you have established such a great civilization in such a hellish climate. So, another occasion he said, if the sun never sets on the British Empire, why does it never shine in London? So anyway, the point is that we are trying to rescue people from a hellish condition in which they think that matter is existing independently of God. They're thinking that matter exists for them to enjoy. And as a result of this false, unscientific approach to reality, they're suffering over and over again. So when the devotee comes along and says, hey, there's a better way to enjoy, then it's very threatening to the materialist. Yeah, it's very threatening. In the Gita, Krishna says this, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid mam iti tatvata, that out of thousands of people, hardly anyone is even interested in understanding something beyond material life. And of those who are interested, hardly one comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness, of understanding there's a person behind creation. Creation's meant for serving him, and my purpose is to help that happen. how to take this material energy and use it in his service. After all, it's his property. There are those who say, well, spiritual life means to give up attachment to this world. What is it? Brahma, Satya, Jagan, Mithya. Brahman is truth and this world is false. This is the idea of the impersonalist. There's no person behind, it's just some kind of energy. So that energy is reality and everything we see is false. So this is like the person who walked into the Bank of Canada and said, I renounce all the money in this bank. To which the teller might say, well, sir, this money is not yours, it's the bank's. It's not yours to renounce. That's all right, I renounce it anyway. I'm so detached. We renounce this world, but we don't own this world. It's Krishna's energy. Brahma, Satyam, Jagan, Mithya. They say this world is false, but that is also not scientific, right? If cotton is real, then the product of the cotton is also real. I mean, this Jagat comes from Brahman, right? So if it's real, then this is also real. If cotton is real, the thread is also real. So this is these are some of the unscientific consequences of not understanding Krishna in person. Krishna is threatening because he's so specific. He's blue, he's in Vrindavan, he plays a flute, he has this set of parents and this set of friends. Very specific, very frightening to the materialist or mythological. I don't have to take it seriously. However, there's so much science behind why Krishna is there. These avatars like Varahadev, they're direct expansions of Krishna. He has a separated energy, but he's not involved with it. And it doesn't mean that he's negligent. He just delegates to other people. The art of management is delegation, isn't it? There's a saying, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to delegate it. So, yes, the lazy, intelligent person is the one who can, okay, see, everything is going on and it's going on nicely, and I can do those things that I actually enjoy doing. So God exists, but he's not so wrapped up in the material energy. And yet, at the same time, he's moving everything around like a magnet moves a piece of iron. This is a very apt analogy because when you see a magnet and a piece of iron, the iron is moving for apparently no reason. There is an invisible field connecting that iron to the magnet, causing it to change appearance and move about. So when things happen in this world, nothing happens without Krishna's sanction. Not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's sanction. He's not directly occupied with it, but it's in good hands. He has delegated it so he can continue with his blissful pastimes. Still, everything is under his control. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Nothing is moving without his sanction. These are the beautiful prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of the reasons Bhagavatam is so notable is the same philosophy is presented by so many different personalities in so many different circumstances. And they're always saying the same thing because that is the bare reality of existence. And they're all speaking from this platform of truthful realization. All right, so I'll stop there. Again, we're talking about Lord Varahadev, why he appears as a boar, how beautiful he is, why it is incumbent on us to worship him, why, as the earth is saying, all the trouble that has been created exists, and how we are responsible, not he, and yet he comes for our protection and rescue. All right, any comments, reflections? Yes, Prabhu.
One reflection, one question. Reflection when you gave the example of a scientist that they want the God to be revealed to them. Krishna revealed himself, he showed his partial universal form to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. He gave the blind king the vision as well, but still they could not, without surrendering unto him, you cannot recognize him and you cannot accept him. Second question, that Krishna created this material world for the conditioned souls like us. The earth is also part of this material world, all the demigods, the Vayu, the Lord of rain, sun and moon, they all are serving as food. They all are part of this material world. So their existence also depends upon the conditions also. It's like just because we were conditioned, we were to enjoy material world, that's why the earth was created. And if earth was created because of us, then how can the earth be delivered? Would they remain like this forever?
Well, the playground exists as long as there are children to go to school, right? So if there were no children, there'd be no playground. But the great devotee Vasudeva Datta said to Lord Chaitanya, you please allow all the living entities in the universe to go back to Godhead. I will stay in this world and accept all of their sinful reactions, so they may all go. And Lord Chaitanya said, by your selfless power of devotion, all the living entities in this universe are hereby liberated. And you are also liberated. But then in the purport, Prabhupada explains, then immediately it filled up again. So even if everybody in this material world became Krishna conscious, it would go on. It's just manifest, unmanifest. Bhutva, bhutva, praliyate. Now, just a short digression. Why does it happen? Is it because we're outright rebellious? Krishna, I don't want to be here in the spiritual world. Get me out of here. No, it's not like that. It's just a very subtle thing. I wonder what it would be like to be at the center. Krishna's at the center of everything. And all the devotees are so happily serving him. If just the thought passes in some devotees' mind, I wonder what it would be like to be Krishna. It's just a subtle thought, but then Krishna fulfills that desire and he lets us be in this world where we can pretend to be at the center of everything. So all of us are very much wrapped up in ourselves, are we not? You may have terminal cancer and I'm very sorry, but if I have a hangnail, I'm probably thinking about it more. Right? So we're very self-centered in this world. So that's just Krishna allowing us to fulfill that subtle desire. What would it be like to be Krishna? Well, we're finding out. We get to pretend to be Krishna for as many millions of lives as we want. So, yeah, the world will continue. And it's not dependent on us personally. It's just dependent on those souls who want to experience what it's like to try to be Krishna. Is that okay? Am I answering your question? The demigods are very advanced in that desire. Okay? Very advanced. And so in the Gita, there's a lot of condemnation of pursuit of that position to become a demigod. Okay. Anything else? Prabhu?
So I'm wondering if you can speak on because I studied sociology and psychology, and I find oftentimes we explain things very logical and it makes a lot of sense, but a lot of times what's stopping people is more emotional or social. Because I remember when I went vegetarian a long time ago, my sister told me, she's like, I totally understand why you're doing it, but I can't do that, And it's more because it's you have to accept that what everybody else is doing is wrong. And then you have to separate yourself. And so when I found Krishna consciousness, I was already kind of hippie, I was kind of already rejecting society. So I was like, okay, let me accept that.
This is really far out.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. I'm already kind of out there anyway. So. But somebody who's still in society, that's still around their normal people and work and stuff, how can they accept this? How do we deal with this cultural or emotional challenge?
Very good question. Yes, yes. The Bible says it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. Kunti Devi says, Janmaishvarya Shruta Sri Bhiraedamanamadapuna. People are attached to a good birth or money or beauty or any kind of prestige. They cannot call to Krishna with sincere feeling. So what Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to do is to just teach people to add Krishna. Yena tena prakarina mana Krishna naveshaya. As Rupa Goswami says, somehow or other, think about Krishna, the rules and regulations can come later. So we're not the International Society for Rules and Regulations. We're the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So better we present as something joyful and then encourage people to add. This is what Prabhupada actually did, you know? He just encouraged the young people, just chant Hare Krishna. And he did, the first group of disciples, I don't know if you knew this, the first group of disciples that Srila Prabhupada initiated, he didn't even tell them about the regulative principles. He just initiated them. And then afterwards, one of them said, Swamiji, now that we're initiated, are there any rules? To which he said, I'm very glad you are asking that question. So then he told them about he wrote out the regulative principles, and then afterwards, from then on, that everybody knew that's what initiation meant. So my point is that was what he did. He did not start with the regulative principles. He did not start with being a vegetarian. He did not start with stopping intoxications. He just said, just chant Hare Krishna. It's a better way of living. There's a story from the Hit Upadesh, which is kind of like the Aesop's fables of the Vedas, or the Vedic tradition. This fox was going through the forest and came on a field, and then there was a well someone had dug that had become overgrown with grass. And not seeing it, he fell in the well. And so with its slick sides, he could not get out. And he was stuck. What am I going to do? So he had an idea. He started dancing and singing at the top of a making this great joyful noise. And then a moose came over and peered in. What are you doing down there? Oh, I'm dancing. It's so much fun. You should come too. So the moose jumps in and the fox jumps on his antlers and jumps out. So the point is not to jump out, but the point is to present things as joyful. What is it? It's Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Satyat Sarvadamam Dharmyam Shushukam. Yeah, Shushukam. That's the same word as bore, isn't it? Sukha? Sukara, close. Close. Shukam means happy. Shushukam means happy on steroids. So Krishna consciousness is being happy on steroids. Shushukam. And Kartum Avyam, it goes on and on and on. Is that right? Yeah, okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just wanted to share something in regards to the response you just gave right now. In school, one of my math professors said that the purpose of teaching mathematics is to not convince the student that the teacher knows the material, but it's to convince the student that the student knows the material. And I feel like sometimes, like in regards to Krishna consciousness, Krishna, like Bhakti is already joined into everyone, right? So I guess what we're trying to say is just to preach them in such a way where that they can recognize it for themselves, and it reminded me of that.
Right. We're not going to put it in. It's already there. How do we awaken it? Well, we awaken it by ourselves being happy in Krishna consciousness. We awaken it by reading the books that we're trying to distribute. You should really read this book. I don't read it personally, but it'll be good for you. Prabhupada mocked that mentality. Okay. Yes, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. I just have a follow-up question from Krishna's answer. As you mentioned that we all were situated in transcendental platform, and we have desired that how it would be like if I become Krishna, kind of like that. That's why we're here. So my question is like, why then so much differences? Like you mentioned that demigods are more they have that more strong desire. Right? So that's why we have platform. Then why it is like that? Why we are human? Then why they are demigods? Why there are so many species and
pious activities. This is how karma works in the material world. That if we're good and we're pious, then we can enjoy materially more. And if we sacrifice more of our own sense gratification, then we get more sense gratification. You see. So this is the path of karma kanda that Krishna rejects so energetically in the Gita. What is it? Brahma Bhuvanal Loka Kim Punarvati Norjuna. Even if you go to be Lord Brahma, the biggest shot in the universe, still there's birth and death. So that's how the demigods get there. That's how like big politicians or wealthy people or celebrities, they're manifesting past pious activities. And their desire was to enjoy this world. And so they're getting their desire fulfilled. But then they have to give it all up and start over again. So Prabhupada compared this to the cockroaches in the commode. A cockroach in the commode will go scurrying up the side, but it's very slick, so they slide back down. So you can't get a permanent position unless there is a deep conviction to get out altogether. And there's nothing better than material life for developing that condition, that conviction. And Krishna will just hit you this way. If we really want to come to him, Krishna says, okay, good, come on back. Let me get you in shape. Let me make sure that you can buy this ticket. We're over time now?
Yeah, but it's okay. What did you ask?
No, I just wanted to add something to
Please.
what Prabhuji said about people who are living in the material world. I'm very new on just inspirational consciousness for 2 years. But what I have seen as a psychologist and as like all my friends from my previous life, like they would drink, they would eat non-vegetarian, and that was very normal for them. But over time, like when I speak to them and discuss things with them, I'm like, do a social experiment. Put a stopwatch on your phone for 15 minutes and just chant. And I would not tell them to do anything else. I'm like, just do this as an experiment.
It's an experiment.
And they're like, you look happier, you look fitter, what's happening, what are you doing? And I would just tell them this, and from there, they've left everything. Like I have 4 of them who've left everything.
Wow.
They're like, I don't enjoy it. They're like, I tried to eat it as well, but I felt like I was eating rubber and I don't like it. So it's not you, but it's the name that gives them that strength from inside. But if you just like light that fire a little bit by making it shorter, simpler, easier, that they don't have to change anything.
Yes.
I've seen that work good for people who are very out there. And then you don't have to push them, but they want to come closer because Krishna's right there and he starts guiding them. So I've seen like the less prescriptive and the more fun or easy it is, the easier it is for people.
This is so nice. From your position as a professional, you can influence people in this way. If you came in with tilak and a sari and Adidas, you really should read. That would be a bit much, right? Yes, so very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Okay. Shall I read this, Amal? Amal Prabhu asked me to read one Vyas Puja offering I wrote. It's a very short little poem, kind of related to tomorrow's festivities. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. It's called Srila Prabhupada Priyastikam, the appreciation of my spiritual master. O Srila Prabhupada, Lord Nityananda's sharpest tool, today Jagai and Madhai aren't exceptions, they're the rule. You are that Senapati Bhakta forecast to appear. In this world, to Sri Nitai, how could someone be more dear? Mridangas, kartals, harinam, and books in endless streams, Gauranga's mighty weapons in his Sankirtan regime. You launched this sacred arsenal throughout our Sari sphere. In this world, to Gauranga, how could someone be more dear? The taste of Radha's love for Krishna prompts Gauranga's form. A taste you knew could also make the troubled heart transform. Seek out Sri Radha's grace, you urged, en route to Boston's pier. In this world, to Sri Radha, how could someone be more dear? Do not disturb the ignorant, sings Krishna in his song. Their love for sense enjoyment is exceptionally strong. And yet, for him, you came to us and boldly interfered. In this world, to Lord Krishna, how could someone be more dear? When Radha and her friends pulled Krishna in his stunning cart, the Ratha Yatra fest began, a boon to every heart. You blessed 100 cities with its blissful atmosphere. In this world, to Lord Jagannath, could someone be more dear? When one attacks illusion such as you did, Prabhupada, he surely will be tested as severely as Prahlad. You thus left us the deity who mitigates all fear. In this world, to Nrsingadev could someone be more dear. The fearless Srila Saraswati urged his sons to preach, but every town and village seemed impossible to reach until you smashed the barricade and laid the pathway clear. In this world, to your guru, how could someone be more dear? Though Jesus said to love thy Lord, his order was obscured. The Buddha and the prophet too find chaos masks their words. But you left us your law books with a message crystal clear. In this world, to your follower, could someone be more dear? Despite its faulty rhythm, tortured rhymes, and worn-out plan, a certain fallen poet sings as sweetly as he can this praise of Srila Prabhupada, a subject so sublime that anyone who listens savors Krishna Prem in time. You're supposed to sign your poem at the end, because anything that's wrong with it, then people know who to blame. That's why we find Bhaktivinoda and Lochan Das and Narottam Das. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakti Academy Toronto ki jai. Hari Bol. Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Yeah, okay. What's next?
So next class. So, Shadi joined he wants to see if you have like any knowledge, he would like to do some seva for you. Specifically recently. So, you bring the Shadi and it's we meet with the, I think it's with That's okay. I'll just catch up later. So you just. It's at 11.